Like,
Oh,
what
is
is
this
that?
are you thinking of? Hello, cozy detectives, and welcome to the Blanket Fort Files. I'm Larissa,
And I'm Joy.
and we're here to report on all things comfy and cozy. I
Hello! That's what I thought when you said that.
I almost forgot the line, even though it's written in front of me, and I've said it so many times, and I've listened to you say it. But as soon as I said I'm Larissa, my brain just shut
Oh
down, and
no.
then you're like I'm Joy, and I was like get it back, and then I was like reporting. Okay, we're here.
I know. Yeah, I totally still have problems with the closer. But I feel
Oh,
like we
me
could just keep
too.
it up or change it up for
Yeah.
season 2, which is upcoming. Watch this
I
is the end of
know.
season 1.
I know. Well, yeah, it's the penultimate episode. We still have a
Yeah,
little
that's
season
true.
one finale
That's
wrap up
true.
reflection. So,
That
oh,
is
I'm
so
very
funny that
excited.
you just said that. My husband sometimes he always says penultimate and he says that as if everybody says it as a thing. And I'm like, nobody says that. And
Okay, to be fair, I learned what it meant from Gilmore Girls, and so now I don't use it like a lot, probably as much as your husband does apparently, but I will throw it in when needed. But I
that's
did.
so
I will
funny.
admit it here. I learned it from Gilmore Girls.
Love it. Yes. Honestly, I think that's where I learned it from too. I just never like said it. It's like the cul-de-sac thing where I'm like,
Oh
I
yeah.
just don't want to be like, did you know? Like, I
Well,
never do
and
that.
the other thing too is
Not
that
very naturally though, I
also,
will say.
are we flipped?
No.
Are we on a normal? What is going on with me today? I feel like I'm like, I'm on the
I can
wrong
squish
side.
us too.
No, no, no.
So behind the scenes spoiler, I don't use this thing. I use our individuals and then I move
Yeah,
us.
move us.
So I
Yeah,
have
you're
definitely been
fine.
like, wait a second, she's on the
This
wrong
is
side, and I've
right.
like moved you
Yeah.
back over.
It's fine. I don't know what it is. I just feel off today, but I'm glad to be back in the blanket for but back to penultimate. It's
Yeah.
one of those words, and I feel like because this is like the scene in Gilmore Girls, it feels like this grandiose word to mean second to last, and it
Yeah.
feels like what they think it does feel like it means like super ultimate. Like, what do you mean it just means second to last?
Yeah. Okay, so that's a good segue to what I was trying to think about because we were talking about that. And then we were talking about, and I was trying to describe the songs at the end of movies that like you think of. And so it's like
Like the credits song?
Transform, yeah, but like the
Okay.
Transformers and what like and it like goes black. The that one, Iron Man with the Iron Maiden
Oh,
ending,
mhm.
iconic. And then what's the one that goes do 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 do
I'm
when
probably
like the
the
girl's
worst
gonna like
person
have
for that.
I can't think of what it's called, and I have been I was like looking up
'Cause
end of movie songs.
I'm so bad about watching movies. So I'm not helpful. If it's like a
It's like early
rom-com.
2000. Yeah, it's like
Okay,
a
so that is my
rom-com.
vibe. You don't know the movie?
No, it's the song that I feel like on Instagram and TikTok people will use as like when the girl realizes, "Don't worry, everything's gonna be okay." And it's like,
Oh!
what
Is this
is that?
are you thinking of the, Sweet Disposition song?
If that's the beginning of it, maybe. But
Okay.
it literally,
I'm gonna play it for Joy. We can't have it
yeah,
in the podcast because 'cause we'll get copywritten,
I'll
but
sing over it.
I'm
La la la.
gonna
Will it go through the headphones? So that was
Um,
that. So while you're looking that up, I will ask my question, which was, do you have like a end of movie song that you think of, or like when like it's because I was also listening to the 90s mom playlist. I just have been vibing on that in the mornings if I have to be in the car. I'm just like
yeah, it's such a
me
good
on my
vibe.
way with my teenagers to their school, like not even a thing.
Sucker
um
mom.
yeah, right. I don't know if I could do soccer mom. Well, no, we'll have
Same.
to see. But yeah, I was thinking, oh, I have a knot in my hair. I was thinking of it, of like, I don't know, because that song was on there, and then I tried to find it again, and I love that playlist because it has so many songs. I couldn't find it. I'm pretty sure that song is on
Oh,
there. The one that I was thinking. Maybe it's like
maybe.
a, yeah, yeah. Did you find it?
Yeah,
No, it's not that one. What is it?
oh, no. Because that one's the, like, "A moment, a laugh, uh-huh, uh-huh."
That is.
That's Sweet Disposition is that song. Is it
Yeah, that does have doo-doos in the front of it though, but it's
yeah.
like
Is it the Mean Girls one?
maybe,
Because
maybe.
there's a song in Mean Girls.
Sorry, Cozy Detectives. I'm sure you're just like, it's this song. Let me see. Ending credits. Oh wait, now it's telling me that I'm gonna go to a bad website. Let's not do that.
Oh,
I'm just trying to get to YouTube. I feel like it has to be that because I'm like picturing a girl be like, "Don't worry, it's gonna be fine."
yeah, I'm trying to see which song it is on there.
Yes, yes,
Yeah!
that's it. Yes,
Because those,
yes,
yeah, those are like I often put them
yep,
on my like
yeah,
main character energy type
yeah.
I guess playlist. So those were when you said it's like the end and everything's gonna work out, and I was like, it has to be one of these.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I was trying to think of it because I was trying to describe that. Now I don't even remember what the whole context was that we were talking about. We were talking about like movies, and I was talking about end credits, and then like things like that. So yeah,
Oh,
okay, I
that's
feel
funny.
so
Better.
happy that we found that. Now I can because like I tried to sing it to him too. It didn't work. I'm like, it's right there.
He did help us out with Leafy. So a few of our cozy detectives did
Yeah.
message us the answer, which was appreciative. And I had to be like, thank you. Joy's husband also told us after we finished recording.
I
Thank
know,
you.
but we love it though because there's sometimes where it's like, what is that thing? Like if you can't think of it, I'm like, okay, I already did the doo doos. I already did the song, and that's all I got. That's my
Yeah.
offering of help. So
Yeah.
if the cozy
No.
detectives, if you did get that from the very beginning of my doo doos, I am very impressed. That was my whole
Yeah.
thing. So I was like, just the song. But
Oh,
do you have
well,
a song
for
like that? Think of?
no. Oh, like a good ending song?
Yeah, like I feel like I think of the Transformers, the Iron Man song, and apparently the Mean Girls ending song, but I couldn't think of what it was.
Which I was gonna say, if cozy detectives don't know, it's "Built This Way" (parentheses slow remix by Samantha Ronson).
So how could I forget it? Sorry, Samantha.
Um, I don't know if I have. I mean, like I said, I have a couple of those songs that I put on my like living my life as a main character
Yeah.
energy playlist. I think for me, I always associate end of movies. When you said that, I was thinking of the like old school Disney like R&B songs that would always be in the
Ah,
credits. Like Beauty and the Beast has that really like R&B Tales All This Time remix. Um,
yeah.
and kind of in that same vein in terms of like it's not technically Disney, although I think it might be now. I don't know, but the Anastasia credits song
You're gonna say
that
Anastasia.
actually was, my senior dance recital, like, song, so
Whoa! Like you got to pick it and you picked that song?
mhm. Well, we
Oh,
that year, there was, like it was, like, the most, seniors in our dance studio that they had, so in the years past, each senior got a solo, but there
mm.
was a bunch of us for some reason that year, so we all did a dance together, and the theme was fairy tale, so I picked that song, and everyone agreed, and it was fun.
Ah, fun. I love that. I also
Yeah.
think of this isn't the end song, but in Easy A, which is like, I got a puck, I got a puck,
Oh,
I got
yeah.
like opening and closing the
Yeah,
thing.
all the needle drops are so fun.
Yeah, and
Um,
Unwritten. Oh,
oh, yes.
so
Uh,
good.
maybe we'll have
Whatever.
to
What have
put
you been up to?
well, I was just gonna say one more thing with that because I have not been doing well of making our little, uh, podcast playlist, but now I kinda wanna do a main character and a movie song type deal, so this will
I
be
also
my
feel like
motivation to do that.
right? I also feel like that movie I don't know, I can't think of what song is at the end of 13 Going on 30. It's probably, like, one of those
Hmm,
iconic songs. Is
I
it
know
the
that
same
one.
one?
No, but I'm gonna send you that one too because I know that one and I love that one and I have it on. It was that one was on my March mood board playlist that I actually sent you.
Nice.
Let me see. Where is
'Cause I feel
that?
like they just,
That
like
one's Why Can't Oh, this one's not at the end
oh.
of 13 Going on 30, but it's this one plays during their montage when they're doing all the photo shoots.
Yeah. That's such a good scene because, like, the wind's blowing. She's like and okay, the one
Falling
thing
in
I will
love.
yeah, the thing I will complain about in besides the whole fact that, like, he's engaged. We're gonna just jump over that for the moment. Is Homegirl's outfits are super expensive. She is
Yeah.
wearing like Dolce and Gabbana, like on the regular. I'm like, girl,
Well, when you're that high up at what is it?
Sparkle.
No, Sparkle. I always get them mixed up. I'm like, which one is she the one actually
She's the
who's yeah,
spoilers.
I know.
She's a
Okay, it's
dun
funny.
dun
And
dun.
I think that's on if it's not on our list for season 2, it should be, but I think it is.
I would presume so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
If
another good one. The Why Can't
if
I?
not, we should we were just talking about chaotic episodes with the pillow one right before this because that released today, and I feel like we're kind of getting into that territory, but people seem to be liking it, so
That's
hopefully
fun.
they're able to follow this
And
musical.
Ultimate, we're good.
Yeah. Okay, but now I want to find the end of 13 going on 30.
But isn't that Why Can't? Oh no, you're thinking of the actual ending song.
Yeah, unless they play it again, maybe they do it twice. I feel like I just saw this movie too, so I don't know why I can't remember.
Let's see. Is it Love is a Battlefield?
No, that's the one that they she sings with the girls at the sleepover.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna end of 13 going on 30.
Man, that is a, but I will tell you, every girl was like that had that Jenna Rink dress, like that dress that you're thinking of. Everybody had that. I
Yeah.
feel like every fast fashion did that dress too. Actually, did I don't know why I didn't do a 13 going on 35 for like my 30th, but
Yeah,
whatever.
I did have to send you the photo because well, I guess things were probably a little bit better for you by the time you turned 30 because we're born in the same year, so we turned 30 the same year. But my 30th, I had two like quarantine birthdays because the
Mm.
pandemic, my birthday's at the end of March. So like my 29th was
Oh,
right
oh
when
no.
things were shutting down. And then a year later it was still bad. So yeah, when I turned 30, I just did a little like 13 going on 30. But I think my thing was like half vax, quarantine, and thriving or something.
Yeah, I don't even
Anyways,
remember what I did. Did you
I
find
looked
it?
it up. Yeah, it's like an 80s song.
Oh,
It's
that makes sense.
that I'm trying to find it on the like Spotify playlist and it's or soundtrack and it's not on there, but it's that like I never wanted anything like you. Na na na. I'll send it to you and you can watch it later. I feel
I was
like
like,
we've
I'm
really
trying to think
gone
of
off
it
the
so
rails.
hard.
Once you see it, you'll be like, oh yeah, duh.
Duh. Anyway, what have you been up to? Because that's been my brain,
Chaos brain. No, I
honestly.
had a really fun little activity a couple nights ago that I wanted to talk about. Um,
Ooh.
so this didn't exist yet when we did our cozy travel episode. Otherwise, I obviously would have talked about this because it's right up my alley.
Nice.
But there's a new bookstore nearish to me, and it's called The Plot Twist. And they primarily sell romances, but they have other genres as well. And they have a little cocktail bar there too. And
Fun.
a couple nights ago, they did a little craft night, and we got to bedazzle books, which was really fun. And I obviously had to do yours truly. No
Ooh,
surprises
you
there.
have it?
Um, I have to unplug for a second to from my headphones, but yes, it's not finished
We'll
because
show it
we
on the
only got
screen.
like an
We'll do that.
hour. But okay,
How
cool.
fun.
I'll do it. A picture. So it's still in progress, but we got to keep the kids, which was
That's
really
awesome.
cool. And I was not expecting that, but it was very much my vibes. I was like, books, crafting, cocktails. This is where I want to be.
Oh, that's
So
so
it was very
fun.
cozy and very fun. And they said they're going to do more craft nights. So I'm excited for that.
Yay. Ah, that's so cool. I really like that. Did you do the colors of what the actual cover is, or did you pick different colors to cover the cover?
Yeah, so they provided, and this is in order to finish it, I'll have to get my own gems for the rest of it, but they provided us with two colors to kind of get started. So
Cool.
I just did the yours truly part of the cover.
Fun.
So I still need to do like the actual like background and the little cartoon characters and the author's name, but I'm really excited. And I think I talked about this as a 2%. Did I do the gemstone painting one
Yeah,
time?
I was just gonna say you did
Yeah.
do the one,
Yeah.
and that
So it's
turned out
very,
really good.
yeah, and it's very similar. So I was just kind of in my element again. And
Nice.
now that I have a whole kit to do it on books, I'm like, let me start
Yeah.
doing all the ones behind me. So that'll be fun.
Ah, so pretty. I'm so excited to see. Wait, did you say if you did the colors the same or if you did different colors for
Yeah,
the
they're
stuff?
the same ones. So
Okay,
they
cool.
ordered a bunch and they were saying, next time we're going to ask, because they just told us, oh, bring a book. And so they told us, next time we're going to ask y'all to tell us which book, because they just bought as many colors as they could. So they have a bunch of leftover random colors. But yeah, they managed to have the ones that I
Cool.
needed, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. Ah, how fun. I'm glad that you did that. And that's not like that feels like a very unique thing for a local bookstore to do, which I also really
Yeah.
like. Cause like, I don't know, that's like the point of it. You know what I mean? To have those like fun, unique experiences. I'm glad that they're doing that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So, shout out to the plot twist in Denton, Texas. If you are in the area, I recommend it. It's a
But
itty bitty mini cozy travel recommendation.
fun. Oh, I like
So,
it.
but are we ready to
Yes.
jump into our theme today?
Yes. Our theme today is cozy 1900s stories. And
Yeah,
now thinking about it, mine was from 1911, so it's like cozy slash
it's
something.
still it's still the same century technically, although we're
Yeah.
also born in the 1900s.
I know.
Um,
Terrifying.
that's so funny because we were both wanting to talk about this and we were like, "Oh, what should the theme be?" And I was like, "Oh, mine was written in the 1900s," and you were like, "Mine too." So then we are like, "Oh, okay." And then yours ended up not being, but that's okay. It's still, I feel like there's probably enough similar overlap there. You know, I actually don't really know what yours is about because I've never seen it or read the book.
Oh. Okay, I have not
So
read the book of mine.
yeah.
But actually, you
I-
know what? I still, I'm not gonna lie, I have not seen or read the book of yours. I'm like
Oh,
halfway through the book,
that's
so
okay. Have you seen any of the adaptations for it?
no. I've heard I would love like all of them, but I think with yours, I feel like there's a lot of adaptations, but mine there's a lot of them, but
Yes.
there's like one pretty beloved one. Whereas I'm like,
Yeah.
there's like quite a few beloved ones of yours. So I'm excited to see what's
Yeah.
your favorite.
Yeah, I've only seen one adaptation, so obviously that one's my favorite. And from the vibes I get online, and again, this could just be the algorithm feeding you what you like. I keep seeing a lot of people find this one as their favorite. I think it's more of how old you were when you first experienced that one because so I'll just jump into things.
Yeah.
Mine is Anne of Green Gables. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the book, and I have a really pretty special edition that I'm going to share. But I'm mainly talking about the 1985 version with Megan Fellows. So there's a lot of different versions. Most recently, Netflix did a series called Anne with an E. So I
Yeah.
feel like for Gen X millennials, ours is going to be the Megan Fellows version. And I feel for Gen Z, it would probably be more of that Netflix version, is my theory. But Cozy Detectives, if you have a preference, definitely let us know.
Yeah.
But Anne of Green Gables is a book, first and foremost. It's a whole series, but the first book was written in 1908 by L.M. Montgomery, and it follows Anne Shirley, who is an orphan in Nova Scotia, Canada. I mentioned the Canada part because that comes up a lot in my
Yeah.
behind the scenes. But basically, she gets adopted by this older brother and sister, Marilla and Matthew Cuthbert. And they thought they were adopting a boy and ended up with Anne, who's a girl. And so they end up reluctantly keeping her. And so the story kind of follows Anne as she goes through kind of her early adolescence and her teen years. So about 13 to 16 years old at Green Gables,
Hmm.
which is like, it's, we were talking about estates in the last
Yeah.
episode. And so it's definitely not, I wouldn't call it a estate because they're, humble, kind of on the poorer side, but their home, their area is called Green Gables. And so it's really just about her becoming part of this family. It's obviously like a more unconventional family, but her just kind of fitting in there. And she forms a friendship with a girl named Diana Barry, and this rivalry turned eventual romantic relationship with Gilbert Blythe. Um, and so I was going to give a little bit more insight to both of those relationships, and then I'll jump into the behind the scenes of things. So Diana and Anne meet at school, and well, kind of they're at school together, but they also are like neighbors ish. So they spend a lot of time together, and there's this big theme throughout the book and the movie of kindred spirits and bosom buddies. And so Anne is just like really
Oh.
desperate for a friend. Obviously, growing up as an orphan, she didn't really
Yeah.
have anyone. So they just formed this really beautiful friendship. And what I like so much about it is it just feels like this testament to young girlhood and young girl friendships. And I feel like because we get to really see them grow and flow and ebb with their relationship as they get older. And I just think it's a really honest depiction of friendships and how those might evolve and change. And then with Gilbert, so they also meet at school, and he calls Anne carrots. And one of the big things with Anne is she doesn't like her red hair. And so she's like very insecure about it. So
So
being called
cute.
carrots, yeah,
Oh.
being called carrots, it was like the worst thing he could have possibly done. So she gets really upset at him. She ends up, so obviously it's the 1900s. So they have those like chalkboard slates, and she breaks
Oh
one
yeah.
over his head. And so then they kind of become these academic rivals because they're both basically like the top students in their school. And then eventually a little bit of flirting comes. So I always like thinking about these stories from my childhood. And I'm like, oh, this is why I like reading books with these like enemies to lovers or rivals to lovers, because I grew up on them.
Yeah, yeah. And I also feel like it's interesting, I'm already seeing a lot of connections between both of our case files that I didn't know
Mhm.
was there, so that's really cool, I'm excited.
Yeah. So the the three main like family characters. So obviously we have Anne, played by Megan Fellows. Like I said, Follows. I think I said Fellows. Um, she has this really. Actually, I'm going to check that because now I don't know if that was a typo.
Is that's from the
Oh, it's
80s
Follows. So
movie?
I said it wrong. So let me correct myself.
All good.
She has a very vivid imagination. And what I really like, especially in the books, but I like Megan's adaptation of this, she just has this flair of the dramatic. Like
Yeah.
everything she says is this like waxing poetic way of talking that you obviously don't really see in a 13-year-old, but you buy it with Anne. And Megan just does a good job with the delivery of it. And then Marilla is played by Colleen Dewhurst, and she is very firm and strict, but she has this softer side that Anne really brings out of her. And I think obviously I really love Anne and Diana's relationship, but I think my favorite is the relationship between Anne and Marilla, because they just really, I don't know, you can tell at first that Marilla really, she's the one who was really wanting the boy. And so she doesn't seem to like her a lot. She reluctantly agrees to let her stay just for the night. And then eventually it becomes, okay, we'll let you stay with us. And so just seeing their relationship evolve and grow is really special to see. And I just think because of Anne's just love for life. She kind of brings this new freshness to Marilla, who's kind of this old maid type of character, and Anne just really makes her seem like she has this joy for life again, if that makes sense.
That's cool. And Anne has that from the very beginning. Because
Mm-hmm.
like I remember in the book, I feel like she's describing or talking about like the drive to Green Gables and like the
Mm-hmm.
trees and everything. And I remember being like, this is really cool to like just like the wonder that she has for all of it.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. And then Matthew is played by Richard Fransworth, and his character is very quiet and kind, but he loves Anne so much. He's very protective of her. There's a scene where she's going to a ball and she really wants a new dress, and so he ends up getting her this dress with these really pretty puffy sleeves, and so they
Oh.
have a really sweet relationship too. Um, but a little bit of behind the scenes. So, Kevin Sullivan adapted the novel into a screenplay. And I watched an interview with some of the people who worked on it's kind of confusing. So, it's technically a series of 2 episodes or just like a really
Oh.
long movie with 2 parts. So I may use that interchangeably, but he talked about having a really small budget for
Mhm.
this project. And I mean, you can tell it's not anything high quality. Plus, it was in the 80s. Um, but he said that with that smaller budget, it really allowed them to focus on making it the best. And I think you can tell because even though everything is really simple, the characters seem really strong. Like they had to provide really good performances. They follow the storyline in the books quite well. I read a couple things where people felt like it deviated too much from the books, but I read the first book right before watching the show. And I feel like for the most part, they do a pretty good job of following things.
Does it
So,
go past the first book in the show or does it kind of stop at the end?
um, I can't remember because I have also read the second book. And so that's
Mm.
kind of becoming a little bit of overlap. I think the first Anne of Green Gables of this, because they ended up also making more of the movie
Yeah.
film eventually. They do Anne of Avonlea, which is the second book. Um,
Mm.
so I think they stay pretty close with it. One of my qualms, this is more so with the book because the movie kind of had to follow the book, is they I feel like a really good pace for probably 85 to 90% of the book. And then there's this last little bit. It it rushes through so much that happens.
Mhm.
Like Anne goes off to college and
Oh, wow. Yeah,
like
that's a lot.
there's like almost a whole year there that's in only like a chapter or two. And I just feel like we get to really see these fun little stories of Anne's life. Like there's one that's it ends up causing a rift, not necessarily between Diana and Anne, but Diana's mom and Anne. But Diana comes over for a little picnic with Anne, and they don't realize this, but Marilla had made this like wine, like homemade wine, and it was labeled as this I'm blanking on the word. It's a raspberry cordial, is what it is. So she doesn't
They're
realize
like,
that
"I
it's
don't know what that is."
alcohol.
Yeah.
And she's just throwing them back because she thinks it tastes really good. And then she gets drunk and she's what,
Aw,
14.
poor nugget.
And so the mom gets really upset at Anne, but Anne's like, I didn't know.
I didn't know either, I'm also young. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then there's a scene where Anne tries to dye her hair black. She really doesn't like the red hair, but it's a super cheap hair dye and it
Oh,
turns her
no.
hair green.
Oh,
So,
no.
yeah, there's just all these little fun anecdotes that I really appreciate. And then I feel like by the time, and
Yeah.
again, this is partly because she's older, but um, it feels a little too rushed for me towards the end.
Mm.
Um, but back into the behind the scenes of things, this is a fun little tidbit I like to learning. So Katharine Hepburn recommended her great niece Schuyler Grant to play the role of Anne, but the network
Oh,
really wanted a Canadian actress to play Anne. So, like I said, this is a
yeah.
Canadian story. This is a Canadian production. It aired on Canadian
Mm.
television. And from what my research told me, I'm sure it's since past this, but at the time, it was one of the most watched
I believe
productions
it.
on
Yes.
Canadian TV. So they ended up giving Skylar the role of Diana. So she still got to
Mm.
be in it, even though she wasn't Anne. And they actually saw over 3,000 girls for the role of Anne. But Megan Follows really wanted this role. And she talked about how she would write these note cards saying, I am Anne of Green Gables, and would stick them around her house and just like
Aw.
little manifestations for it. And obviously, so it's a pretty, I mean, it's really only over the span of about 3 to 4 years, but from 13 to 16, there's a lot of
Yeah,
growth
that's
and
a
development
yeah.
there. And I think technically when we meet Anne, she's only 12. And so Megan wrote about like, I am 12, and just trying to really
Aw.
manifest like giving off like a youthful energy. So
How
that
old was
worked.
she?
I don't know off the top of my head. I want to say probably 15 or 16. So she
Yeah,
was closer on the older side of things, which I think is honestly for the best. Sometimes with kid actors, I'm always
yeah.
wondering, like you should just get to be a kid. So I do like that she was a little bit older. And it makes it for a little less awkward when they do more of the not that
The,
there's
like,
anything.
older
It's
year one.
it's
Yeah,
literally rated like G probably. It's
yeah.
very family friendly, but you're still, oh, she's starting to have feelings for a boy. Like that's a little older kind of
I
situation.
I just feel like, again, like, in another way of saying it, like, it's easier to be 16 and pretend you're 13 than be 13 and pretend you're 16. Because, like,
Yes,
you
that's
haven't been that
exactly
age,
it.
so trying to be like, "Now I'm 16," it's like, oh, I just feel
Right.
like that would feel awkward more
A
than just
little
being like,
icky. Yeah.
"I am Anne," and you're like, "Okay, cool. Let's go."
Yeah. And then this was also something that I really enjoyed seeing in the interview. But Colleen Dewhurst, who plays Marilla, talked about. So, like I said earlier, that kindred spirits is this big theme. And Marilla, uh, the actress who played Marilla, Colleen, said that Megan was like a kindred spirit toward her during filming. And that I just
Cute.
thought that was very sweet and very much the vibes of their characters, I feel.
Cute, love that.
So why I find this cozy, which I realized I don't know if I've necessarily been saying that specifically on the last few episodes, but I there's a lot of nostalgia for this one for me. I grew up watching it with my mom. She was a big Anne of Green Gables fan, and um, shout out to my mom who watches us. And the scenery shots are really cozy. It's filmed primarily on Prince Edward Island in
Oh, cool.
Canada. And again, I just really love Anne as a character. I think she's um, kind of similar in a way. When you covered Elizabeth Bennet last episode,
Yeah.
I feel there's a lot of similarities there with this being a smart young girl, having a vivid imagination, reading a lot, exploring, just having this like vivacious love for life. So, and then real quick, I realized I didn't grab it, but it's actually just behind me.
Oh,
I have this
yay.
really, oops, wrong book. I have this really pretty Anne of Green Gables edition
So pretty.
that I got towards the end of last year. It has
Ooh.
pretty page
What's that
edges,
called? Yeah, yeah, the edges are painted
sprayed
if you're
edges.
listening
Yeah.
along. Sprayed
And
along
then
edges.
yeah, and then it's also illustrated, which I thought
Oh,
they were really
cool.
pretty too. Oop,
I
what was
love
that?
drawings like
Oh, I
that.
think I just had a bunch of books fall over, so
Uh-oh.
sorry if that was a loud bang.
No,
I
you're
don't
fine.
think they liked me pulling pulling ones off the shelf, but
They're like, "Show us, show us." Oh, that's pretty.
yeah.
I love drawings. I just like the art of that is very fun.
Yes, it's just and it feels so much like the story. I feel like the artist, which I should probably figure out who that is so I can shout them out. I just feel like they really captured it. Louisa Uribe, Uribe, I'll show it so y'all could try to pronounce that. But that is Anne of Green Gables.
Yay, so fun. Did you watch that pretty much all growing up then?
I mean,
Or
not it wasn't a high rewatch where I watch it over and over and over, like a lot of things, but yeah, I did watch it quite a few times with my mom. Yeah.
fun? Oh, I like that. I am excited about my case file. Mine
Me
is
too.
not. Mine is one that a lot of kids, I think even now, watched as a kid, but I didn't watch it until last year. So my case file is The Secret Garden, the 1993 movie. I'm
Ooh.
very excited about this because I did learn a lot. I also have a shout out quote to from Cami, who actually introduced me to this
Yay.
movie and why she finds it cozy. So I'll talk about that when we get there.
Love
But
it.
as I said, The Secret Garden came out August 13th, 1993. That's when it came out in the US. It is, however, set in England and filmed in England. It's set in the 1900s Edwardian England. And then the story itself it has a book in the background. So in 1911 was when the book came out, and then there's been a few different iterations since. There's actually a 1919 apparently silent lost film
Oh,
because nobody there's like no copies of it, but like it did
yeah.
happen. So I was like, oh, the lore. Um, but this seems to be the most beloved. There's a few other ones. There's even a 2020, like, which is wild, like
Oh,
the most recent
interesting.
adaptation, 2020. But the kind of plot I'm going to take it from the perspective of the movie because that's what I'm talking about mainly. But the story is that Mary Lennox, so homegirl is just going through a lot. She actually don't know if they say her age. She looks 10ish, somewhere around there, maybe 9.
Mhm.
Um, so she in the movie is born in India. Both of her parents die in an earthquake, and then she is sent to live with her reclusive uncle. I'll get to. I'm trying to like say the background. I'm always bad at this. I'm going to say the background of the story, and then I'm going to give my
You're
thoughts.
good.
So his name is Lord Archibald Craven. So it's kind of a at the beginning, especially, it's very kind of like dark and kind of like mysterious because he is really like recluse is like the word I would use for him. And then he has a
Mhm.
son who, when we first meet, um, appears to be very sickly, is bedridden, is only in the bed. She's not really meant to like interact with him ever.
Mhm.
There's what we find out later on, there's been like this like locked, overgrown garden that has sat abandoned because
It's a
unfortunately it's a
secret.
secret garden. You'll never guess the name of the movie. But unfortunately, the mom that was a part of the household did pass in the garden, and the dad was like really wounded by that, so just kind of closed off the garden.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fear about the health of the son, who is her cousin. So his character name is Colin, played by Hayden, and then Mary is played by Kate Maberly. Mary Lennox is her name. So she's not really supposed to be interacting him with in what? Not supposed to be interacting with him in any way. But he is like also acting out because he's very fearful and like what's going on. So there are some parts of this where it's a little bit more not like traumatic because I would say like this movie ends well. There's a lot of parts of it watching it from like the years 2025 lens, thinking back on a 93 movie, I'm like, I remember saying many times, if this movie ends well, I will love it. If it ends bad, I'm gonna hate it. I'll never watch it again.
Oh.
I was like, this is gonna be heavily dependent on this ending. Because we also have the housekeeper who is Mrs. Medlock, played by Maggie Smith, which is wild to see her
Oh.
young, looking exactly the same as we
Aw.
always know. I know.
Love her.
But
Miss
it's cool to
her.
I know, but it's cool to see like a new movie. And I think her character in it was one that I was very I feel like the entirety of the household that Mary kind of is forced into, that household is so full of fear and just like darkness and like
Mhm.
chaos. And I would say getting into like more of my thoughts of the movie and then I'll tell the ending is I'm glad that there's not like a major villain because
Mm.
it seems like really what happens because when Mary goes and discovers the garden and kind of like unlocks it, she ends up there's another boy. I think his name is Dixon. I think it's Dickon. Um, the two of them are playing in the garden and they're starting to plant things, and she asks for like dirt to plant things in the garden, and it's really cool because they really did plant that garden, and so you get to
Mhm.
actually watch it flourish in a way that a normal garden would. But the little boy who's been very sick, he's very fearful of things in the movie, specifically more than the books. He's like afraid of spores and all of that in the air, and so everybody's very
Mhm.
careful and cautious around him, and so that's another reason why she's not really supposed to interact with him. I'm going to tell spoilers. So, oopsies.
It is on my spring play or movie watch list, so
Okay.
we'll eventually watch it, but that's okay.
I actually feel like maybe after this, it might feel better to watch it because I remember being like, as the viewer, I was kind of fearful of like, where are we going with this? What's going
Yeah, I
on?
get that.
Because Maggie's character is very protective, and like I have this vague memory. I feel like she slaps the little girl at one point or something like that, because she's like,
Mhm.
so it's like very intense at parts, but really we come to find out she is just also very fearful of this little child dying. And
Mm.
what ends up happening is the two other little kids kind of are like, come on. And so they bring him in his wheelchair out to the garden, and they start playing. There's like real animal. I'm like, real animals? These aren't CGI. They're just like floating around animals and all these scenes. It's so cool. And then they're planting things. The garden starts blooming, and we start like seeing life come back to the household in
Mhm.
total, and life come back to like friendships. Like this poor little kid's been so reclused. He's just like acting out all over the place, and he starts to like
Yeah.
actually try to have fun, and he's like very afraid at the beginning. She basically forces him out. And then it gets to the point where like he even begins to walk, which is like something that like you would have never
Mm.
thought would have happened for him.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we start to, it's like there's like kind of a like, I wouldn't say magical, overly magical element to it, but it's kind of this thing of, I think it's a little bit more in the book and in this adaptation. I think in the 2020 they make it more kind of like like the garden is magic, but the way
Mm.
I always saw it was kind of like the like friendships and the like opening yourself up to things and like allowing like just being like what if I could do this thing. I feel like that's kind of like allows him to start thinking, what if I tried to walk, or what if I did something like this. And
Yeah.
so to not go all the way to the end of all of it, I'm going to give you some things to enjoy and look forward to watching, but it just kind of like restores. I would say that's kind of like the feeling at the end of the movie where a lot is
Yeah.
restored that was previously lost. And that's where I feel like we learned that nobody was particularly the villain in it. Everybody was just so fearful. They were just making these very scared decisions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, some of the fun behind the scenes is it was shot in England, so it is beautiful scenery.
I love it.
Um, I know. They also grew that garden from scratch, so it's really cool. I really like the
Oh, wow.
cinematography. Yeah, so one of the reasons was because they wanted to show it throughout different seasons, and so in order to kind of be able to have not full control in the way of like because the point of the garden is that like there's roses growing everywhere, and it's very kind of like whimsical and magical, and how big is the garden we can't even tell, and it's um, I'm gonna make a really, really bad connection here, but kind of like that feeling in Alice in Wonderland when she's just like tumbling through things and it's a little bit like
Mhm.
magical, whimsical. It kind of has a little bit of that feeling in it. Um, but in order to do that, they actually did plant the garden, and then they like show like it growing throughout the seasons. I think it's a little like time lapse that they did because they like show roots growing. I just,
Oh, yeah.
it's pretty cool.
I appreciate that they actually took the time and effort to not
Yeah.
only plant and grow, but maintain a garden, and I was just thinking but I feel that's something and we've talked about this a lot with different older movies and just the
Mm-hmm.
craftsmanship that goes behind them, but I feel
Yep.
like that's so lost now, like, what movie is going to spend the time
Grow a
to have
garden.
this whole garden or, "Oh, just
Yeah.
do CGI," and now it's, "Oh, just have AI do it."
Yeah.
So I just really appreciate in the older movies where they just have so much love that they pour into them, and I know I've said
Yeah.
this 100 times before, but
But that's
I
one of the
really do
reasons.
like it.
Yeah, and it's other things too where it's like I somehow hadn't even heard of the movie until Cami had brought it up because we were trying to think of like a fun spring movie
Mhm.
to watch, and I feel like also it because it is also older, I feel like my brain has to like click into that time period because some of it, especially at the beginning, can feel slow. But I think it's
Mhm.
just like it's that like low intensity type of like little bear type content where you're just like
Yeah.
there's not a cut every 3 seconds, like you're watching her put
Yeah.
like a bulb in the ground, and it's like it's kind of nice. Just like breathe, give it a second.
Yeah.
Like,
I've I've really been trying to fix my attention span, I feel like,
oh,
because
it's
so much
so
of the time
hard.
when I'm watching a movie, I'm also on my phone. Like, I just the
Yep.
constant stimulation, and I'm like, "You don't
Yep.
need that." Like, put your
Yeah.
phone down, watch it, and it's harder with those slower paced movies because
Yeah.
Anne of Green Gables is the same way, and that it's just her and Matthew in the little carriage running through town. Um, but I think just really appreciating because that's what life is. It's those slower moments and something that we try to appreciate on the podcast, especially with the 2%. Um, but yes, I'm trying to unfry my brain. We'll see how that
I
goes.
know. It's hard, and it's also like you have to like push through that moment. Like I think just because I did watch it first with somebody, I remember like us being like, okay, like we're good. We're still here. And it's like you're like watching it slowly throughout it.
Yeah.
But then at the end, you're like, oh, I really enjoyed that. And that wasn't slow. It was just like kids playing. And like
Yeah.
they're just out there, they're just exploring. They also has a really wonderful score. One of the things I think it does very well is at the beginning, it is very dark and gloomy. Even the clothing is kind of dark and gloomy. And then you slowly start to transition and like once the garden starts blooming and like the kids start playing and laughter starts coming back and then we do see like a character arc for pretty much all of the characters including the dad. It's just it's fun to see a lot restored that once was lost. And so Cami, when I asked her about it, so she said the 1993 version of The Secret Garden was one of my favorite cozy films growing up because it made me truly believe in the possibility of magic. I loved that the main protagonist was a young inquisitive girl who found her real strength and resilience once she opened herself up to kindness. The slow, steady pace of the story and vintage aesthetic of the homemade is a very calm viewing experience. As someone who has always practiced escapism through books and movies, I felt like despite any problems, there would be some sort of magic in our otherwise ordinary universe that would help me overcome adversity. Oh, so close to the very end. Adversity is
Oh,
the last word.
Hammy, that was so
Oh,
beautifully written.
so beautifully
You
written.
want
And
to
I was like,
write
yes.
our scripts for us so we can talk more eloquently? That
I
was
actually
really
have a script.
lovely.
Well, I'm almost on the last word. But
But
yeah, I feel like it's
yeah.
really that. It's like even in really hard times, and both of I would say almost everybody, including the main girl. So that was the one thing why I asked that about Anne Green Gables. It feels like Anne comes in very positive and like turns the negative
Mhm.
positive. It does feel like in this one, every character, even Mary starts out pretty I would say like prickly and hard and
Mhm.
figuring it out. And then slowly things start blooming and slowly like life starts coming back to it. And it is cool to see that and that kind of escapism through it that like despite any problems if some sort of magic in our otherwise ordinary universe like it's just like it's a good rounded story. It is very different from the book in certain aspects and also very close in others, but I feel like overall there some of the like large differences I feel like the movie I liked that the movie made. Even some of the 1993 to 2020 differences I didn't like as much as the book to the 93 movie.
Mm. That makes sense.
So I feel like that one I believe is like the favorite of all of them. So there's like a 1949 black and white, a 1975 BBC TV series, 1987 TV movie. There's an animated version in
Mm.
1994, and then the 2020 modern version. But again, out of all of them, I believe this is the favorite. So I found it cozy. Also, to put my thoughts in here, I feel like again, it is the slower. I love watching just like the growth come back of things and like the character arcs I really like. I really like the score as well and the coloring and just like visually it is very pretty. I do feel like a lot of our generation when I was trying to find interviews for it, it ended up being a lot of different people that were like gardeners now would look
Aw.
back at this movie and be like, I feel like this might be where this started because you just like you're watching kids plant things and then watching the growth that comes from that and I feel like that's very inspiring too. So I feel like that's just another wonderful addition that this movie added into cinema.
Yeah,
So
it feels very much of that trend that happened recently of the "Where did my lore start?"
yes, very much so. Yes, it's
Yeah,
absolutely that. So,
love it.
what is your 2%?
Uh, mine is very I guess, kinda springtime. ish vibes. We I feel like in Texas we get maybe 1 week of actual spring. It's
Oh,
either rain and tornadoes or still really cold or still really hot. But this week we've actually been having our good spring. So I've
yay.
been taking my little lunch break at work and eating outside, which has been really nice, and just getting
Nice.
some fresh air and some sunshine. And it's been a very, very cozy, and I've enjoyed it a lot.
Oh, good. I know. I like was trying to think of my 2% and it like because I have been listening to that 90s Moms like album that we created over and over. I was like, so
Yeah.
that's not my 2%, but I feel like when the weather's good, it just makes you feel like, okay, it's like the
Yeah.
na-na-na. Go back to the
Have
beginning, but
the
like,
windows rolled down in your car. And
yeah,
yeah.
drive off into the sunset. Mm. My 2% is we finished the new game Split Fiction and I've
Oh,
really enjoyed it.
fun.
It's
Yay.
I feel like one of my 2% from back in the day was the game, actually don't know who the creators are, sorry, that they made before this, which is the little dolls one. Oh no. I'll put it in over my face here or something. But that the creators that did that did Split Fiction and I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say like, well, okay, I would say heavy themes, but I wouldn't say it's like scary or like really dark or anything like
Mhm.
that. But it's very cool. It's basically as like a small overview of what the game is. It's a two-person player like split screen type of game and you're both writers. You kind of end up in each other's stories. And so sometimes you're on the like sci-fi parts of stories and sometimes you're on the fantasy parts of stories and you're kind of just trying to make your way through and get out of this one specific scenario. It was very fun. The ending was very hard. I do feel like the creators of the games have, in a good way, just like made their games progressively more tricky. There's like apparently a
Mhm.
secret level too that you can get to that's like ridiculously hard. Like I think the creators of the game, when they made this game and that level, at the end of that level, I don't know if it does it for everybody or maybe they like took it out after this person like did finish it, but they were like, if you actually finished this secret level and can prove to us that you finished it, we will like fly you out to
Oh,
like see what game
whoa.
we're working on next. Cause like apparently it's
No, it's
ridiculously,
that
I think it's like
hard.
lasers everywhere trying to get through type of hard. So we'll see. I just figured out where the level was. We haven't tried it yet. So but
Well,
the
keep us
overall game
updated.
we did finish. I know, like I died 90 times.
Aw.
But
Aw,
yeah.
that's so fun. I
Oh,
think
it's
we
called
need to
It
do
Takes
another.
Two. That was
Oh,
their other game. Yeah.
nice. We should do another little video game or computer game theme episode. That'd be really fun.
Yeah, I have a lot of them. It's just fun. I don't know. I just like walking around and like
Yeah.
living my life, you know. So, what about our cozy detectives?
Yeah, so I've got two for us today. I feel like there it's another one where one is very Larissa and one is very Joy.
Love it.
So the first one is the Larissa type one. It's from Lexi Jacks, and they bought some fresh pasta and truffle pesto from an import shop, which also is very you too, because
Ooh.
I know you love um, Italy and all of that. But this one really made me think of you because it was part of your spring hopeful bucket list type things from our How to Have
Fun.
a Cozy Spring episode. Um, BW Loves to Read said that they got a new hammock.
Love.
Yeah. And that's actually my friend in real life. So I'm
Oh.
coming over to try it
Do it. The only hammock I've ever actually owned was one of those sit hammocks. And
Mm.
it was because I lived in like a condo thingy where like I felt like there was like a thing above me so I could like be like, haha. But like I don't know where to put it in real life now because like they don't
Yeah.
live there. I don't know. I don't even know if I have it. Did I leave it and just hope for the next
Oh.
person? I don't know. But that's so fun. We love a hammock. Oh,
Yeah.
I do need to get one. Oh, so good. Thank you for listening. What a fun episode. Can't wait for the next one
Oh, it's gonna
because
be so
it's going to be a great one. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Blanket Fort Files Pod. Send us your 2% cozier. Subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. Join us next week in the Blanket Fort, where we are going to have a special first year anniversary episode.
good. Oh.
We
So
waited a whole year.
excited!
One whole year.
We need to make like a little birthday cake.